Hello and welcome back to 1874. It's time for a match preview show. I'm here with David Reed, Sky Sports News' finest. Aston Villa against Arsenal, 12:30 kickoff. As I say, this is the preview show. Don't forget to subscribe with your post notifications on via YouTube and do the same kind of things on Spotify and Apple as well. But I'm sure I'll mention that at the end, as I always do. Absolutely no idea, to be honest, why I decided to do that in the introduction. I don't usually do that, but I just got carried away with myself. As I mentioned, I am joined by Sky Sports News' finest, David Reed, Aston Villa fan as well, to preview the game. Dave, looking very professional in what looks like a Sky Studios booth. Is that the case, Dave?
It's in a Sky building, not studios, but yeah, I'm in a booth.
And Dave is working on the World Cup draw in a while as well, aren't you, Dave?
Yeah, draws are a funny one in TV because they're obviously quite exciting to do, but they also fill everybody with dread for various different reasons.
I mean, you're not picking the balls out, so it's not as difficult. I think you're overplaying your role a little bit there. You're going to talk about what happens.
Yes, exactly. Yes, because obviously rights for the World Cup draw will fall to rights holders, so that'll be BBC ITV who'll be streaming it, I think. So, and obviously FIFA will be streaming it, but yeah, we'll be delivering it for viewers who are interested in Premier League Friday, which will be happening on Friday, obviously 5:00.
Yeah, it's Friday today. Yep, Rio Ferdinand's doing the actual draw. I would say I'd much rather watch Dave Reid talking about a draw than watch Rio Ferdinand conduct a draw. That's just my opinion.
And obviously, it's not going to be a great watch, is it? Let's face it, draws are never a great watch, but particularly this one, they're going to have Heidi Klum, Robbie Williams, they're going to have Nicole Scherzinger, they're going to have the Village People, President
All
Trump.
Biggest names, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, really, do you want to watch that? You'd rather watch Sky, wouldn't you?
You're not doing it with anyone?
Well, it's just during the show. It's during the Premier League Friday show, so I'll be just going on and off, just telling people what's going on.
Great pick from Sky to pick you to do that. I couldn't have picked any better myself. Let's talk about Aston Villa against Arsenal then, Dave. I started the Stato show by saying this and then we didn't really get into it, so I'll start it off with you. For me, when we take on Arsenal, it always feels a bit, there's an edge to the game because of Emery. It feels a bit personal. I don't just want Villa to do well against Arsenal. I actually quite like Arsenal, by the way. I don't just want Villa to do well against Arsenal. I want Unai to do well. Like, I've just done something for TalkSport quickly before I come on. I was talking about Unai Emery. It's like a voice note. I had to talk about Unai Emery. And my wife just said to me, "Oh, you talk about Unai Emery and Arsenal, you talk about me. Do you ever get bored of like praising him?" And no, I don't, because I just think he's amazing.
Yeah, I think, look, there's obviously, given what he's achieved at Aston Villa, there's a great deal of goodwill for him. Not just a want for him to do well with the team, but a want for him to do well on a personal level as well, given the fact that he has managed to connect supporters with the football club again, which was not really the case before he arrived at the football club. So yeah, I mean, for him personally, I'm not sure it carries that much added spice for him, because I feel like he's so experienced and so kind of long in the tooth. I don't mean that in the negative way, but he's been around the block a few times. I'm not so sure that I feel like enough time has passed since he's been at Arsenal to look back on that and think of it as a time where, yes, I think he'll admit that there were some mistakes made, but also, I mean, don't get me wrong, he'll want to win. He'll absolutely want to win. But I'm not sure there's that much added extra spice. I don't think he'll be working extra hours just to win this game, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I think, well, in some ways I think he will, but not because it's Arsenal, because it's first, fifth, third, because it's a top of the table clash. He loves competing against the bigger boys, so to speak. Obviously, we've had a great record against Manchester City over the last few years with kind of varying game plans at Villa Park. Horrible record there, but good record at Villa Park. And, we've won our fair share of big games under Unai Emery. It feels to me he likes concocting plans for these games, but I do think that deep down, he will want to beat Arsenal. You would be the same. I would be the same. Like, you want to do well against someone who sacked you, essentially, wouldn't you?
Yeah, maybe deep in the subconscious, there'll be a little fire still burning for this game. But you're right. I think whenever Villa come up against elite opposition, and Arsenal are definitely elite opposition,
big time,
there is a kind of, there's an excitement, I think, for Unai Emery to try and him match himself up against Mikel Arteta, against Luis Enrique, against Pep Guardiola in those big games. I think he enjoys the chess, the 4D chess, I think, in the big games.
And hopefully we enjoy the 4D chess as well. I've got to admit, I thought in my head, if we get through Wednesday and get 3 points there, this turns into a massive week, akin to a few seasons ago when we had Manchester City and Arsenal at home in the same week, and just felt we were rhythmic, we were on it, we were probably riding high in a similar position then to what we are now. I am starting to get the vibe of the kind of 23-24 season here, where I don't think our kind of strength and depth is that of the other teams around us, yet we seem to have got ourselves right up there, which, given our start, is absolutely incredible. But I think we've got a core of like 14, 15, 16 players who are like really, really good. And then maybe last season we could maybe change the whole 11 and you wouldn't notice that much difference in the second half of the season, certainly when we had Rashford and Asensio. But I feel like we've got more of a tight-knit group this year, certain players trusted for certain games. And I'm expecting us to do well against Arsenal on Saturday. I'm expecting a positive result, whether that be a win or a draw. And in these games previously, when I think of the big games, I think Tielemans is going to be in the 10. I think that'll be what happens this week. And I think he'll pair Onana and Kamara together with Tielemans in front in the 10. You've got McGinn one side, Rodgers the other side, two people who can kind of carry the ball, with Tielemans playing just behind them and maybe getting the ball to them quickly, distributing the ball quickly. We can hurt them on the break, but still kind of be compact as well. I don't expect us to be the ones taking the initiative in this game and getting the control that Emery normally likes.
Yeah, it's annoying because I absolutely 100% agree. I think it'll be...
Here we go. I've got into it. It's taken us 12 games this season. He's finally agreed with something I've said.
Yeah, I think it'll be Tielemans in the 10, Rodgers and McGinn as the wide players. And you're right. I think it'll be Kamara and Onana. And I was thinking in the car actually on the way to the office, what kind of setup will it be? And I feel like it might be a similar-ish setup to the Manchester City game out of possession, where Kamara might well drop into to make it a back five, essentially.
Yeah, good point.
When Villa are in that low block and defending low, and then moving into midfield when Villa have the ball. It could well be a very similar setup to that. The wide players are going to be so crucial defensively. And the thing that has been so impressive about Arsenal, and particularly when they lost Victor Gyökeres and their striker options were reduced with Kai Havertz out injured, Gabriel Jesus only just coming back now, Mikel Merino as this auxiliary striker who now almost feels like he's made the striker position his own at Arsenal, given how good he's been. It's the rotations, and if you'd have watched Monday Night Football a couple of weeks ago, Jamie Carragher did a great piece on the rotations within the Arsenal setup, and how all of them seem to be in sync as to when one player moves into a teammate's channel, that teammate then swaps places with them and moves into a different part of the pitch. But they're all very spatially aware. They're never stood on top of each other. They always know where to go and, crucially, when to go into different areas of the pitch. And that takes time. That takes great coaching. And that's one of the reasons why, alongside being brilliant defensively, brilliant from set pieces, but that's obviously why, Arsenal are like an orchestra at the moment, and they are, playing a great symphony. I don't know where that's come from, but it's come from
like my intro. You didn't know where you were going with it, and you've recovered it, but you've had to call yourself out, like I had to call myself out. I think Moreno's an interesting one. He did a great job of being a centre forward the times he's played there for Arsenal. I did an Arsenal podcast this morning with Harry Simya, and we did speculate that in some of the bigger games he has been tempted to be a bit more robust, Arteta, and rather than like play Moreno up front, which sounds stupid, he's a midfielder, but so he's essentially a defensive midfielder, isn't he? Really, he can be a bit box to box, but he's always been seen as a bit more of a defensive player than an attacking player. But in previous big games, he's had Zubimendi, Rice, and Moreno in midfield. Gyökeres is available, obviously the big money striker. We did speculate whether he'd be willing to go to that more robust midfield, but I think it will be Moreno at centre forward. Obviously, Saka one side, Martinelli or Trossard the other side for them at the moment. Eza's knocking around there as well in great form. They rested a lot of players in midweek. We obviously don't have that luxury because, as I mentioned, we've probably got that core of 15, 16. We don't have the luxury of resting everyone like they did pretty much. We obviously, Tielemans had a bit of a rest, didn't he? We gave him a game off and he came into the game. Luka Dean But really, they're better rested than us by virtue of their starting 11 the other night against Brentford, which in the end they won relatively comfortably, I would say. But they're frightening. That they've got the strongest squad. It's taken a while for them to get there, but they've built what I would say at the moment, in terms of depth, is what by far the strongest squad in the Premier League. Because they've just got a player for every position. Even when Saliba and Gabriel have been coming out at the moment, they've now got top centre-backs that can just come in and play instead of them.
Yeah, and you almost think with Mosquera, who's a young boy, but because he's been paired with Hincapié, I feel like maybe people are missing that. Maybe people are thinking Hincapié is this inexperienced, young centre back. He's got probably 150 or something senior games under his belt, playing for Leverkusen, a proper senior pro, and he's another one that Arsenal bought in this summer. You're right; they've got 2 players, sometimes 3 players for every position. I just think that the decisions that have got to be made, really, in terms of who plays in the forward line, is what Gyökeres gives you. Is he's someone that wants to stretch the pitch and gives them a little bit of verticality. He also gives them a little bit of pressure release if and when Villa have a spell in the game, which they should do at some point. Gyökeres can be an outlet for Arsenal to hold the ball up. He can make it stick. But then also when Arsenal have the ball in the Villa half, he stretches the pitch and wants to get in behind. And then therefore that creates space between the lines for Arsenal's tricky players like Eze, like Declan Rice to run into. If Arteta believes that, Villa might open up a little bit, it'll be interesting to see whether he thinks that having Marino up there, because that will naturally, I think, pack the middle of the pitch even more. And if he thinks, God, the middle of the pitch is going to be so tight anyway, maybe Gyökeres is one to try and open up a little bit of space for others. So it'd be intriguing to see what he does in terms of how he sets them up.
Yeah, Gyökeres, if I was Arsenal manager, I think about how I might get at Villa, because obviously I watch a lot of Villa, as you would expect. I think maybe Gyökeres would occupy Konsa and Torres, like he'd be capable of doing that. People will say what they want about him, whether he was too much money, whether he's going to do it in the Premier League, because he scored loads of goals in Portugal doesn't mean that translates into Premier League. But I actually think he's a very good centre forward, and he's enabled Arsenal to be better when he has played, because he is capable of occupying the centre backs. If you've got him kind of pinning Torres and Konsa, you then do have the danger men. Rice drifts in very well from that left 8 role. Eze is on very good form. Saka is a world-class player. I don't care what anyone says there. So Gyökeres would be capable, I think, of maybe getting the best out of those around him and occupying Konsa and Torres, which is where what you said about Kamara, maybe, if he is Gyökeres, obviously we went up against Haaland a month or so ago at Villa Park, and Kamara did drop back into that back 3, and I don't remember Haaland being in the game very much, in all honesty, that day. That's kind of like a proven formula that works against that kind of attacker.
Yeah, and it was basically a brilliant job from Emery, wasn't it, against Erling Haaland, that stopped him getting into the game. Obviously, he had that one opportunity in the game at Villa Park, and it was saved. But apart from that, he didn't really have a great deal of service or balls into the box. So it feels like that is probably going to be the setup, and that was something that he also did away at PSG and in the Champions League as well, where Kamara dropped into the back line. He's done it. Not necessarily with
didn't
Kamara,
go as well that night from memory.
No. But he's done it away at Manchester City as well previously. So I think it's something that the players are kind of well versed in. So if it's required for this match, I think it's a useful setup. It's a useful setup to go with, and that then enables Tielemans to come and drop a little bit deeper. And then when Villa do get the ball, Tielemans is obviously one of him and Torres are our best ball progressors. So it enables him to get on the ball deeper, to fire those balls into Rodgers, into McGinn, into Watkins, probably.
Yeah, no, I can't remember the exact. I think it was 6 in 13. I heard earlier that Ollie Watkins has got against Arsenal. Obviously, back in the goals in midweek against Brighton, couldn't be happier for him. The way Arsenal's fullbacks come in when they've got the ball and they come very central. I don't know, Calafiore, sometimes you'll see him on the right wing. The guy's playing left back. Like he seriously has a free role from left back, Calafiore. I don't know, but because their fullbacks stereotypically don't play like normal fullbacks or fullbacks that you would associate with back in the day, it's one of them games where like you got Rodgers coming outwards to inwards, and I think there's ways to get at Arsenal there. But it wouldn't be one of those games where you want Watkins to stay central, because in transition you kind of want him almost pulling to the left or pulling to the right, because there is those gaps where the fullbacks do come into midfield, and if Villa can move quickly in transition and play through an Arsenal press if there is one, and get the ball to Tielemans, if he's in that central role as a 10, he's going to get the ball quickly to Rodgers. He's going to get the ball quickly to McGinn and Watkins, the players who are going to be expected to drive with the ball and carry the ball. Watkins, I think now you can just see, as soon as he scored that first goal the other night, he runs differently. It's like Jacob referenced it in an article in the week as well. Like, you just see the weight lifted off his shoulders, and then he goes and scores a goal just before half time that's reminiscent of so many goals that he scored for Villa under Unai Emery. Hopefully now it's the start of him being back, and this is another team that Ollie Watkins has got a very good record against.
And he does tend to go on little runs, doesn't he? When he finally does get a goal, he seems to go on, a bit of a streaky run a lot of the time. I'm, so pleased that he got those goals, because it doesn't matter what anyone says, that he's taking every game as it comes. They don't feel he's not feeling the pressure. We're taking the pressure off him. Every day he'll be thinking about, where's my next goal coming from? Why am I not scoring? Am I making the right runs? He'd be second guessing himself, and for him to get that goal now, so pleased for him. So pleased that it's come at such a crucial time in the season for Villa, but for him as well, with Marlon obviously breathing down his neck. So hopefully now it's down to him to go on a little run, and it's quite conceivable that Villa will play very, very well in this game and not win it, like what happened against Arsenal previously at Villa Park. So I think for him, there's the added extra of the fact that Arsenal are a club that have been interested in signing him in the past. There's the connection, obviously, that he has there with Arsenal. So I think there will be a bit of added spice for him on Saturday.
Yeah, I'd agree. And we haven't even spoke about kind of team news. Like, Unai Emery did his presser just before we've started filming here. Luckily, he said they haven't trained yet today, so we don't know about Emi Martinez at this point. But I guess a quick word that if he doesn't play, I know he made a bit of a mistake for the first goal. I mean, Villa's collection of goals they've conceded away from home is absolutely horrendous this season. But at least now, if he isn't there, Martinez, you do feel it will make a difference, because look, Martinez is a better goalkeeper than Bizot, in my opinion. But Bizot is a capable and more than able deputy, so it's not as worrying as it once was.
Yeah, well, look, if we'd have been recording this at this point last season, if Emi Martinez would have been an injury doubt for this game, it would have been editorially top of the show, because we'd have been talking about
that's
how.
True. I mean, I love the fact that you're making out that we've got editorial here, Dave. We make absolutely no notes. We have no idea what we're going to talk about until we start talking, basically. But yeah, I take your point.
So the fact we're only coming to it 15 minutes in shows and I put aside the Brighton kind of mistake that he made, but it feels like Villa now have settled on a very able deputy to Emi Martinez, and he's comfortable playing that role. And I think he's proven already, the mistake at Brighton aside, I think he's proven already that he's more than capable of filling in and being that authoritative presence for the back four. So I don't have any particular concerns really if Emi Martinez doesn't play.
No, brilliant save at the end of the game, of course, to make up for his error in the last game against Brighton. Just going back to the fact that Arsenal rested quite a lot of their 11, and Villa would have put a lot into Wednesday. I got asked earlier whether that concerned me, and I batted it back and said, actually, it doesn't concern me at all. So I think we're better when we have more games almost. Like when we go Thursday to Sunday, we tend to win on the Sunday after we've played on the Thursday, whatever's happened on the Thursday, whoever's played. But to go back again to 2 years ago, and this season is starting to feel more and more like that season so far for me. We beat Manchester City in the week and would have put a lot into that game, winning 1-0. Arsenal, I think, were top at the time when we took them on, and we beat them 1-0 in a very different way, because obviously energy had been conserved had been used in that Manchester City game, and we went 1-0 up and did hang on at times, but it was a more defensive, robust display, I would say. After the fact that we did put so much into Wednesday, I think it's galvanised us because the way we won that game in the end from being 2-0 down. But I also just do think we're better when we kind of going Wednesday to Saturday, Thursday to Sunday. So I think it's good. I think I look at it as being a good thing.
Yeah, and I think I'm so intrigued about how the players receive Unai Emery's touchline demeanour and antics, because he was so animated in the Brighton game. And whether that was because there was a comeback, he's got caught up in the game, it's the kind of intensity that he feels. But that, for me, if I was a player, that would be infectious for me. And the thing is, with Unai Emery, it feels like that intensity doesn't end at the final whistle after that kind of game. It feels like he is going to be into them again in the dressing room after the game. The next time he sees them at the top of the next meeting, he's going to be right fired up for it, thinking about what happened in the Brighton game and how they can kind of take that into the Arsenal game. So it feels, and I think also Villa have been on this run and still not played 10 out of 10 football, still not played to the capability that they have done. There's been the odd game and the odd patch of game here and there.
Bournemouth, maybe for the majority, I would say we were there. I thought that was a good performance, Bournemouth at home. But I see what you're saying, yeah.
And that Bournemouth game could have flipped on its head if it wasn't for the penalty save. And I think the Manchester City game was a terrific performance. But apart from that, I'm thinking, was there a 90-minute performance? There's been patches where they've been great, and I think for the players to be in this position, that they've got to believe as well. And I think the belief is there, certainly from the midweek game, that Villa can do something this season. I think the summer feels now it's put to bed and it's behind that team, and they're fully focused. They're fully, as you said earlier, really, they're fully together, and the spirit is there. And it feels like this squad is building towards something. Now, I would still say that even if the result goes the wrong way on Saturday, because look, Arsenal are one of the best, if not the best side in Europe. So it could happen that it might not go Villa's way at the weekend, but it feels like the togetherness and the spirit is absolutely spot on at the moment.
I would say as well, like since the transfer window shut, I think we've won a Premier League game. Somehow one of the only teams managed to lose to Liverpool in that time. But even if we do lose, like we're now back. I think we're back at the point now where if you lose, no one likes losing, but you almost have to like give a little bit of leeway, because what they've been doing has been phenomenal. The amount of results they've churned out recently, like we may well lose the game, but it's not the end of the world. Like we're in a good place. I think when we were lost to Crystal Palace at the start of the season, for example, feels like the end of the world because we didn't feel in a good place. If you lose now, you kind of just think, well, okay, just they'll win the next one. I think we're back into that kind of mode and that kind of routine. And because we've been spoilt under Emery in general, particularly at home, I guess when you do lose at home, it does feel like an absolute disaster because it just doesn't happen very often. It's barely ever happened. But I feel good going into this one. I'm looking forward to it. Lunchtime kickoff, something different. It feels like we've had an array of Sunday 2:00 kickoffs in recent times. It's going to be a big game. It's the game of the weekend in the Premier League. Third against first. Let's just enjoy it. Hopefully we come out the right end of it. And if we do, my word, 3 points off Arsenal at this point of the season. I'd have never, ever seen that coming. So I think it's important, whatever happens tomorrow, to just stay kind of measured and middle ground with it.
Yeah, I think that's an important point you make, and I think it's important to remember. And I think it's probably a consequence of the bunched up Premier League table this season, where every result, I'm not talking specifically about Villa here, but more generally and broadly, every result has almost been a referendum on the manager's future. It happened to Emery at the start of the season. It's happening to Ruben Amorim. It's happening to Thomas Frank, and it's because could conceivably drop 3 or 4 places off the back of one result, because the table is so bunched up. It's lent itself to sensationalizing every single result. So I think it's important just to remember that there's a lot more games to come for Villa this season, and Villa are very, very capable of putting a run together that they are doing right now towards the back end of the season to get themselves in contention for Champions League football.
Yeah, and I think as well, like this is the period now where you know what your season's going to be. So we might lose this one and then win the next couple or whatever, but get to the end of December, if we're still in and around where we are now, the bunching of the league will change. And that's when you know what kind of season you're going to have. I think that, again, think back 2 years ago, we knew at that point, end of Christmas, we're in the top 4 race here. This is what we're doing. We're trying to finish 4th. Like, I think by the end of December, we'll have a clearer picture of where we're at and where the league's at. And at the moment, I'd back us to come out the right side of things, because I think we've got 15, 16 really good players here now. Even like you look at the central midfield at the moment, and like I know they're probably all three of them will play this weekend, and Barkley's injured. Even like now, it's a genuine conversation. Like, is it Onana or Tielemans? Whereas last season, if Tielemans was fit, it's just Tielemans. You know he's playing. I think now it's a genuine conversation. So in certain areas, we are very, very strong now, and this is going to be a hell of a game at Villa Park on Saturday. Can I trouble you before you leave to go and be Rio Ferdinand to give me a hot take, Dave Reed?
I am gonna go for a 1-1 draw, I think.
Okay, that's a score prediction rather than a hot take. But if
Yeah, I
there's your hot take,
maybe
yeah.
Watkins and a 1-1. Does that meet
Yeah,
the
I'll take that.
threshold?
I'll accept that. I'm going to go for an early Villa Park goal for Aston Villa Football Club. Did the Stato show, the stat pack. Go back and watch that if you haven't done so already. We haven't scored a goal in the first 15 minutes yet this season. It's only us and Sunderland who haven't scored a goal in the first 15 minutes this season. Villa are going to score in the first 15 minutes tomorrow.
Oh, that's
That's
good.
that's my hot take. And I've tied it in with the other show as well. Incredible. Like, if people might not even know the stat pack exists, just go back and watch and listen to it. Some great stats in there from AVFC Stato. Excellent times. Dave Reed, thank you very much for joining me today. And thank you very much to you, the viewer and the listener as well. If you have taken this in via YouTube, if you could subscribe with your post notifications on, give us a like and leave us a comment. We're starting to get close to 30,000 subscribers now. I'd like to hit that. So if you can help with that, you're watching this and you're not subscribed, please go and do this now. If you are listening via Apple, if I could trouble you for a review and to leave us 5 stars, that would be great. Spotify, 5 stars and a comment. Yes, please do that for us. That really, really helps. And I will be back tomorrow. As soon as I get home, there'll be something up after the game. My dad's not going tomorrow. It's a bit of a problem. So I can't really do a through the turns. Well, I can't do a through the turnstiles with my dad because my dad cried off because he's got a choir show. What's that all about? So my dad's not at the game tomorrow. So I'm going with my wife instead. But I don't know whether we'll be doing a kind of match day show like I normally do with my dad through the turnstiles. But I'll have a think. I'll see if we can get something out of there. But definitely a match reaction after the game as soon as I get home. So watch out for that. And other than that, get your eye on your social, so you know when the shows come out. Good luck with the World Cup draw, Dave Reid. Have a great rest of your Friday or Saturday if you're listening and watching this on a Saturday. Say hello to me if you see me at Villa Park. Guys, it's an up the Villa from me and an up the Villa from Dave Reid.
Up the Villa.